is when it's this big. Oh, there we go. All right.
I'm so excited to introduce you, Evolution Business Development, to Judith Jameson. She's a love coach. She helps people start and resume relationships that maybe you didn't know should be working out, but you want them to so badly. And that's why we have Judith here with us to help us get rid of those love myths.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Isis. I'm so excited to give some people some information, because who doesn't want a little bit of information about the 4-letter word, love? One of the things I like to do with my clients or just people that I meet is educate them on what really works and what doesn't work in terms of having a relationship. So even though I'm typically working with people who are trying to be in or out of a relationship, you can apply a lot of this to your work relationships, your sibling relationships. Who doesn't want to talk about siblings? You know, or your cousins. We all have that one crazy cousin or the crazy uncle. These, or a neighbor. These 5 top mythbusters that I'm going to go through that I like to use are really great ways to help you in general with interacting with other people. So we could really call these relationship tips 101. I'm going to call them mythbusters, and you'll see why. People tend to think of love in terms of how they were maybe brought up, or either what they saw in their home growing up, or what they witnessed in their 20s, what they experienced. And unfortunately, sometimes those are bad habits, and we need a little bit of an adjustment. It's like going to the chiropractor, where it's like, I know you think you're working and walking really well, but how about if I show you a little bit of correction and give you some ideas on your posture and things like that? So one of the things that I like to say about love is that you've probably heard this before. It's an action. It's not always a feeling. So when people talk about committed relationships, you're committed to your neighbor, to be kind and nice to them. It's not always a good feeling. You don't really want to love that nasty neighbor, but learning to live with others is key, right? How to have boundaries and things like that. And it really does come down to not just ignoring people, but learning how to have the action. And the action is what you're going to see in a few minutes. So let's see if I can go to the next one without flying through my slides. Look at that. So myth number 1 is all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Now, that used to be one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney, right? But what I want to do is just unpack it a little bit for people, because we hear these pithy quotes and we don't really know what they mean. It's like, what does that mean? It goes into your ear and it leaves your head. This is what it means. Courage is sort of an overused word, right? Courage takes a bold movement, which is what I was talking about at the beginning on my first slide. It's a call. It's a drive to somebody. It's an airplane ride. It's a knock on somebody's door. It's not just a feeling, love and the courage that it takes to be loving. It requires physical activity. It's not, it's really not just like what you're thinking in your head or what you're saying. It's doing something. So, I like to say love does. That's an action. Okay. Myth number 2. Okay. This is one of my personal favorites. People word this in lots of different ways. Whether they say it out loud to me or you, they may be thinking it. Yeah, I'm going to get kind of friendly with my neighbor or with somebody that I just started dating, but I'm going to hold back a lot of my personal stuff. I don't want to get hurt again, right? And so, the idea there is, you always have to protect your heart. And that makes a lot of sense. But when you're really trying to go all in with a relationship, this is the truth. Love is a risky game. Love is part of life. If you want to do it well, you want to be in it to win it. When you're particularly when you're in a romantic love relationship, you need to be all in. You cannot hold back. If you do, you reap what you sow. So if you want someone to give you as much as they can, you need to be respectful and be willing to do that with them. And that's the only way that that's going to work out. So, don't hold back when you're getting serious with a loving relationship. Number 3, this is my other personal favorite that I hear from people all the time. When they get into a relationship of any sort, even if it's just a big family gathering, and they're the loud one, or the one that likes to say how badly you look at the Thanksgiving table. It's like, oh, thanks, and their excuse is always, that's just who I am. Well, that can work when you're all by yourself and you're sitting in your living room or you're walking in your backyard. But as soon as there's one more human being around, you can't go by that motto. You cannot always just be who you are, right? Truth of this is, love cares about the recipient. So a lot of times people say, well, I'm just, I come across as being really offensive, or I come across as I'm just loud and boisterous and I don't care what other people are talking about. That's just who I am. Or I tell jokes the whole time. And the fact of the matter is, sucking the wind out of a room is not a loving thing to do. Pointing out negative things about your family members at the Thanksgiving table, it's not really a loving thing to do. Telling someone that you're dating, some crummy thing about them, there's good ways to say things and there's bad ways to say things. The other thing is, sometimes, let's be honest here, you don't have to say anything at all, right? Now, I learned that from my mom, but not everybody got that. These, like I said, are lessons that we don't always get in our family of origin or in our 20s and 30s when we're out there doing life. Hopefully we've launched in our 20s and 30s. I am making a big assumption right there. You cannot just be yourself, not when you're with other people. You have to be respectful and you have to be giving, but also receiving who they are, and be respectful of that. Myth number 4 in the love world. This is another favorite. They should know what I need. And people in relationships do that all the time. We do that with our mothers, with our fathers. We do that with our siblings. We do it with our boss. Or if we are the boss, we do that with our employees. We're like, we've already said this 20 times. These people should know what to do. But the fact of the matter is, some people need to know more. They need more instructions. They need to hear what you need because they're not mind readers, right? So the truth is, most people don't know what exactly everything and anything that everybody needs to know or that they need in life. You have to learn to ask people what they want. That would be a very nice thing to do in life, right? And especially if you're in a romantic relationship, don't just assume you know what they need, ask what they need. And that becomes that, reciprocal kind of love language and love dance, I like to call it, because who doesn't like to dance? Myth number 5, I deserve this. Bad luck just follows me around. How many times have we heard that? We all have that friend that says, ugh, I just suck with relationships, or I just can never get it together with, like, I don't know. It's always like one bad interaction with my, my fellow employees after another. I just can't get it all together, right? And people tend to feel like, well, that's my lot in life. And that's a really horrible mindset, right? I mean, who wants to live like that? So the truth is, we all deserve joy. We all deserve love. The joy comes from seeking healthy friendships, healthy activities in life, and just launching ourselves. If somebody didn't help us launch ourselves. Find the people to surround yourself with who can help you launch and live for as many days or hours, as many breaths as God's given you. Make sure that joy is your middle name. I know it's probably Ann, but you could change it to Joy. Now, the funny story about that, when I was writing this, putting these slides together, I kid you not, talk about like God hitting me over the head. In high school, I went through some really terrible stuff with my parents, with their divorce, which kind of set me on a path to work with people going through divorces. And I had not 2, not 1, but 3 good friends, and they're all of them, their name was Joy. Is that the weirdest thing? I don't know what was in the water. This was in Acton, Massachusetts, but in my entire life, I've hardly ever met another person named Joy other than those 3. But really, when you're joyful, you're attracting love, and you're omitting, you're effusing love, right? So now I just have 2 summary slides. Lesson number 1, Your past does not define you. You've got this long line with this little dot in the middle, this little dot that you can't even see because I took my pen and I put a polka dot on this long line on my wall. And that polka dot encapsulates all the crummy things that have gone on in your life. If you went through a terrible breakup or a terrible situation at work, it's just a pin dot on the long line of where you started and where you're going. And hey, hopefully into eternity. And lesson number 2, worry does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows. It empties today of its strength. So if you're a worry wart, get some help for that, because worry it sucks the life right out of you. It takes the joy out of you, and it doesn't make you really, somebody that people want to be around, because you're consumed by, this flood of emotions, and you're not able to get out of your own way because you're so afraid of things. And joy is light, and being afraid of things and worrying is dark. So choose the light all the time, not the one at the end of a tunnel, but you know what I mean? Choose the right light and choose joy. Wake up in the morning, put your feet on the ground and say, today, I choose to be joyful. I choose to surround myself with love. But most of all, I choose to be love. I will be loving to the person at the grocery store that bags my groceries. I'm going to be loving to the person at the gas station who really ticked me off because he stayed so long at the pump. I'm now late for my meeting that I have to go to with ISIS. You want to be thinking of joy and love all the time, because you do deserve love and you do deserve joy, and life is short. Enjoy the breaths. So, hey, that's all I have, Isis.
That was awesome.
Wow. Judith Jameson, the love coach. Woo!